Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Petra Šobáňová and I'm based at the Department of Art Education, Faculty of Education, Palacký University, Olomouc in the Czech Republic. As a university teacher, I feel at the border of two worlds, art education and museum and gallery education. I am a supporter of connecting schools and museum culture, and I am glad that we are doing better and better here. I am also the guarantor of the study program of museum and gallery education, new education in culture, according to Czech legislation. And from this position, I work not only as a teacher of future museum educators and art educators, but also as a researcher. In this lecture, I will try to combine both of these roles together. And it is really my great pleasure to present to you some thoughts that come to my mind when I look back on the past year marked by a pandemic and the growing importance of online communication, not only for education, but also for the presentation of museum collections. The coronavirus pandemic was an opportunity for pedagogical innovations, not only in formal education, but also in museums. Pandemics and online sharing as one of the main ways in which museums could stay in touch with visitors have highlighted the various educational strategies and approaches being developed in museums. That's why I, along with my colleagues and PhD candidates, decided to carry out research that would describe and also analyze the manifestations of museum culture during this special period. The primary objective of our research project, which began in March 2020, is to analyze the production of educational departments of galleries and art museums of the Czech Republic. In particular, we focused on online accessible educational resources that art museums and galleries began to create mainly as a response to the pandemic situation and the closure of museums, galleries, and schools that was introduced back in March 2020. In my webinar, I would like to acquaint you with the research of online educational tools, which I'm currently conducting with my colleagues from Palacký University, and offer an overview of online educational tools that were created in the Czech environment. Then I would also like to present my own project, which has created a large set of online educational materials that present the collections of a number of museums and galleries. Proven pedagogical strategies and principles taking into account distance form of education will be demonstrated of many examples. First, about our project. The title of this project is The Coronavirus Pandemic as an Opportunity for Pedagogical Innovations, Research of Didactic Resources of Art Museums and Galleries. As I said, the primary objective of this research project, which began in March 2020, is to analyze the production of educational departments of galleries and museums of art of the Czech Republic primarily. In particular, we focus on online accessible educational resources that art museums and galleries began to create as a response to the pandemic situation and the closure of museums, galleries, cultural institutions, and schools. At the time, it became clear how high quality and accessible digital educational resources are needed, and their lack was one of the reasons for the extraordinary activation of Czech museums and galleries. In many cases, they were able to link their important roles to present collections and address visitors, and at the same time to be a partner to schools and to participate in various ways in educating the public. In addition, the online resources that museums and galleries have begun to publish and offer have become a guarantee of quality in the ocean of possibilities offered by the internet. The situation was not so that online resources did not exist, but rather there was a lack of really good ones that are not superficial and silly, we can say. The main outcome of our research project will be a monograph in which we aim to identify and further analyze online accessible digital educational resources created by educational departments of art museums and galleries. Furthermore, we will also address the ways in which they have been presented to the public and used by art teachers for distance teaching of art education. They will also be analyzed as a source of inspiration for face-to-face classes of art education in the future. The monograph will also present a typology of educational resources of art museums and galleries, which will be formulated on the basis of case studies. Individual categories of the typology will include examples of virtual educational resources. The data of our research that we have processed so far show a huge boom of newly emerging types and forms of material-based educational resources of art museums and galleries in the Czech Republic. This rapid growth of new forms and especially online educational resources is the result of the new society-wide need for distance education. We have found that the current typology no longer corresponds with today's practice, and therefore a new typology must be created. Today, I can only present partial results because this is an ongoing project. Until now, we have analyzed 10 types of online educational resources produced by art museums. These include the following categories: motivational challenges, art creative and expressive interpretative, educational video clips, educational tutorials, video workshops for children linked to exhibitions, interactive websites, interactive games, quizzes, worksheets, podcasts, mobile applications, virtual tours of permanent exhibitions. In the next part of my presentation, we will look at the 5 types of online educational resources that we have analyzed. I will introduce motivational challenges, art creative, educational video clips, educational tutorials, interactive websites, and worksheets. Each category will be briefly characterized and illustrated by examples from galleries and art museums of Czech Republic. The purpose of motivational challenges is to offer online visitors the content of fine arts as a source of inspiration for their creative, artistic, or other creative, expressive work. They have often linked to the collection of a given art museum. Motivational challenges are published by art museums and galleries on social networks as events, and their accompanying content is offered on the website of the relevant museum and is freely downloadable in, for example, PDF format, often with illustrative step-by-step photo instructions. To show visitors what we to do and to attract their attention, challenges can also be published in the form of a trailer, as evidenced by the following example. The Art Creative Challenge, called Soap Sculptures, is the first challenge from the series of 9 challenges entitled The Art of Being at Home. The challenge created by the National Gallery Prague motivates visitors to engage in a creative activity in their homes without the need for special art tools or materials. It is inspired by the art work called 𝙃 by Hanna Pichtalová from the collection of the National Gallery Prague. The challenge is available in both a trailer and a PDF format, which provides a photograph of the artwork and illustrations in 5 steps with 10 illustrative photos of how to proceed at home using available work tools, such as a knife and potato peeler, and available material such as a soap, so we can create a useful sculpture which indirectly encourages visitors to wash their hands, which has been very important right from the start of the pandemic. The aim of this challenge is to give online visitors an opportunity to experience the process of creating their own sculptural work. Another example are educational clips, videos, short films, how you wish. From a number of examples, I choose an animated video prepared by the East Bohemian Gallery in Pardubice. It is an animated short film about the Czech artist and poet Bohuslav Rejnek. The educational clip for children was created by Pavla Baštanová, a young animator, artist, and PhD candidate at the Department of Art Education, my Faculty of Education, 𝙃𝙀 University in Olomouc, and we will see her work even later. Rejnek created in solitude in the countryside and is the author of an intimate reflection of simple rural scenes. He captured with natural scenes, religious motifs or animals, birds, goats, or cats. And it was the cat character who became the protagonist of the short film. The clip fulfills the role of an exhibition invitation and has also an educational use. With this non-traditional invitation, the gallery addresses children's visitors to its exhibition project, but the animated film also offers other use, such as at school, in art education, etc. The clip brings the artist's personality closer in a simple and at the same time charming, interesting way.
Francouzština. To je nádherný jazyk. Často jsem překládal francouzské knihy do českého jazyka a obráceně. Občas jsem zachytila vaše texty. Moc slov tam tedy nebylo, ale některá se i rýmovala. Správně. Tomu se říká báseň a tvorba básní je básnictví, neboli poezie. No, co vím já, tak jste si v té podivné řeči dopisoval i s vaší budoucí paní. Ano, Suzanne Renaud byla také básnířka. A jakmile jste se ale oženil, vídal jsem vás méně a méně. Je to tak. Zimy jsme trávili v zahraničí. Pamatuješ si, kam jsme jezdili? Přece do Francie, do Grenoble. Ale co vím, nebýval jste moc šťastný. Ale vždy, když se vrátili na statek, se pan Rejnek tak nějak více rozzářil. A kdo ty vlastně jsi? Jsem svatá Veronika. Doprovázela jsem Ježíše na křížové cestě.
Another type of an online educational resource of art museums and galleries that we've analyzed are educational tutorials. The purpose of educational tutorials is to demonstrate some of the principles of art making using a suitable example from fine arts. It's not just a simple manual on how to proceed in order to achieve a final result, for example, make a gift, decoration, etc., nor is it a simple practice of a skill. It is rather an attempt to demonstrate and mediate a principle of art making that can be identified in the work of a selected artist. By engaging in a creative process, we can understand a given work of art or a given art movement, for example. It's not just production, but a demonstration of some technological or creative process and a challenge to take part in one's own artistic experiment. As part of the museum presentation, those interested in art are offered tutorials on social networks, as the following example shows. This video, entitled 𝙃.𝙀.𝙀, produced by the Educational Department of the Prague City Gallery, was created during the coronavirus closure at Czech schools. The tutorial introduces the work of the Czech painter 𝙃.𝙀.𝙀, his principle of art making with bold colors and other aspects of his distinctive penmanship and style. The video explains the theory of color, primary, complementary, contrast colors, and motivates visitors to engage in their own art making by combining complementary colors and compiling their own multicolored image from objects around us. The next example of an online educational resource is interactive websites. These are not classic e-learning platforms, but rather web presentations that an art museum or gallery uses to communicate with target groups. The purpose of interactive websites of art museums and galleries is to acquaint online visitors with the content of fine arts by providing them with an interactive, dynamic, and playful experience. The interactive website 𝙃.𝑎rt is part of the portal of the international educational platform entitled Máš umělecké střevo, which can be loosely translated as Have You Got a Sense of Art? This platform focuses on contemporary art and the way it is taught in primary and secondary schools. The website is preceded by the printed publication 𝙃.art, and the interactive website complements the publication with educational materials such as worksheets, videos, a time machine, or interactive timeline with a historical overview of fine art, or a map of galleries and museums involved in the project and a rich visual material of their collections. The authors work interactively with the title page, using it as a guide while reducing contents to the most frequently asked questions related to fine arts. The questions are supplemented by interactive pictograms, which give answers when clicked on. For example, who is an artist, or why should I go to the gallery when everything is on the web? Or do I have to study to become an artist, etc. And the last example of an online educational resource that I'm going to show you today are worksheets or educational sheets based on a combination of text and image, which explain a phenomenon in the field of art or museum collections and encourage children and students to do their own activity. From many examples, I have selected sheets prepared in the House of Arts Brno. As educators from this gallery advertise, all the educational programs for schools are based on a current exhibition project and the general theme of perception of contemporary art. The specific focus of the programs is changing, but it is based on the goals of the national curriculum, which is important. The primary goal is not to create a tangible product but to lead pupils and students to ascertain principles of interpretation, to critical, independent, and creative thinking, as well as to develop the ability to work and communicate with others. And you can see an example of the application of these principles, and you can see the worksheets which were offered during the pandemic. Here you can see an educational sheet from the series For Me in the House at Home, or we can maybe say For Me at Home in the House of Arts, for the specific exhibition Old Residences. Its central theme was men's relationship to the landscape. This collection of educational materials worked with the situation that children are at home and that they do not have special art aids or tools. They show that even in this situation, children can implement full-fledged and developed activities. Worksheets are filled with other supporting materials, such as videos explaining the exhibition, etc. And now about my own project, bez názvu nedatováno, Untitled, Undated. Our project offers a helping hand to all those who are somewhat unsure of themselves in the world of art. The name of the project refers to typical descriptions of work of art in the gallery, and the project, as I said, is a helping hand to those who feel discouraged by a similar description or seemingly inaccessible work in a gallery. Our project deals with the methodological support of art education, and it is based in the web platform with accompanying Facebook and Pinterest pages, where you can find animated video clips and worksheets with ideas for art education. Video clips and worksheets are an original didactic tool, the aim of which is to convey to children aged from 10 to 14, we can say, some concepts and facts from the world of art, professions of the art field, genres, the relationship of art to reality, etc. The content is humorously conveyed to children by animated characters of an art theorist, a collector, a restorer, and an artist who talk about art with children and adults. During the pandemic, our project grew into separate series. First, art making at home, then art making on holidays, then art making at night, art making digitally, and in the world of images, or museum from the room and holiday diary with cooperation with Art Museum of Olomouc Museum of Art. A very special edition is the series titled Tvoříme tiše, Art Making Quietly, which is intended for deaf children. Video clips and worksheets are available to download for children and teachers and are pro-inclusive. Specifically, they seek to enrich the available teaching materials for children with hearing impairments. Deaf children whose mother tongue is Czech Sign Language are often neglected on the basis of fine arts being mainly visual. However, it is not possible to understand art in depth, especially contemporary art, without a supporting interpretation and explanation of the context. We respond to this fact and present modern educational material accessible both to ordinary children and also to children with hearing impairments, thanks to subtitles and interpretation in sign language. This project has gained special significance during quarantine. In the Czech Republic, as I said, the period started in March 2020, when all schools had to be closed. When it developed greatly and became an important volunteer-based activity that provided support not only to teachers, but also to children and their parents. Now we can offer also some materials in English, 5 animated video clips and set of worksheets. The materials are available and to download and to be used freely, of course. In the beginning of our project, there was an important question. It is possible to teach art education at a distance? We were looking for an answer to this difficult question, especially at the time when schools had to be closed, and then again before another wave of pandemics. You may have experienced something similar. Everyone was taken aback. There was a shortage of digital teaching materials. Teachers improvised and learned to work with e-learning tools to the best of their ability. In many schools, they focused mainly on the so-called main subjects such as mathematics, Czech language, foreign languages, etc. And art education, unfortunately, it was often overlooked. We didn't like that, of course. And it is our belief that especially in tense situations, fine art and creative and reflective artistic activities are particularly important. We were convinced that children need not only homework, but also space for creation, reflection, emotions. But how to teach art subjects remotely when we are not prepared for it and good digital educational resources are minimal? So we try to help in this situation, and in cooperation with museums and galleries, especially with Olomouc Museum of Art, we started our project. Our web platform now contains dozens, even hundreds of materials, and you can see the result here. The author of the original artistic style and charming animations is already mentioned Pavla Baštanová, a young artist and PhD candidate at the Department of Education, Faculty of Education, 𝙃.𝙀 University, Olomouc. She's my student and I'm very proud of her. When creating our materials, we naturally rely on the specifics of distance education and on certain pedagogical principles. We try to adhere to the following didactic principles. Each of our worksheets always contains a work of art that represents an inspiration and a creative stimulus for children. It also contains a follow-up creative activity that develops some of the aspects of the work, for example, the means or the message of expression used, the theme, the procedure, process, and so on. We make sure that the tasks are involving, but also simple. Children should not imitate the external form of the particular work of art, but should understand it through their activity, which is important for us, and through art to understand themselves and the world around. Our ideas lead children to think and connect the creative, emotional, and cognitive side. That's why we ask children questions. And we do not forget about the social aspect of learning either. We know that it is best to learn together and enrich yourself in a dialogue with others. That's why we encourage children to talk about everything with friends or parents. And last one, our themes contain a motivating, humanizing element in the form of illustrated characters, individual characters representing, as I said, the art field, so an art theorist, a collector, a restorer, an artist. And they talk to children and try to mediate the universe of art to them. The given concept of methods and strategies was prepared for the situation of distance learning, and so that education through art can fulfill its goals in the form of distance learning. In fact, it connects contemporary communication media with what we value in our field, creation, concentrated work with art, media, and meanings, or reflexivity. As I said, our project was pro-inclusive from the very beginning, and its first outputs focused on children with hearing impairments. This feature of the project, although its implementation means more effort and demanding organization of specific activities, such as interpreting, filming, editing, and other post-production. But we would like to maintain and bring it to life. We consider deaf and hard of hearing children to be a much neglected target group. In my opinion, their needs must be considered and taken into account so that this group is not excluded from artistic communication and full-fledged education in the future. Therefore, we tried to create a sign language version of our audiovisual materials, and we also try to translate our worksheets into sign language. So far, about 30 videos have been created in which our collaborator 𝙃𝙀𝙀𝘀𝘂𝙃, himself a member of the deaf community, interprets all the contents of our worksheets. Animator Pavla Baštanová then supplemented the recording in sign language with graphic elements and animations. This process was not easy because we wanted to keep the visual and artistic quality of the project. We tried to design the materials so that they fully meet the needs of the target group. First of all, so that the educational content of the topics is not unreasonably reduced. On the contrary, it is offered to students in full and with the potential to develop their thinking, language, and cultural identity. In accordance with this intention, we published a set of these videos as a part of the December 2020 campaign, which seeks to raise the profile of the deaf, sign language, and deaf culture. Our goal is to gradually translate all the content of our website into sign language, because, as we like to say, our ideas are for everyone. Deaf people have the right to equal participation in all areas of society. Czech Sign Language as a basic communication system for the deaf in the Czech Republic should therefore be applied as widely as possible in schools and cultural institutions so that the deaf can understand the content of gallery exhibitions and the context of the exhibited art without restrictions. Digital media and current widely available technical devices, including, of course, mobile technologies, can greatly facilitate deaf communication and sign language content creation. And it is great that the amount of usable materials and the availability of sign language content in general is increasing. Clips and worksheets created in our project represent an original didactic tool, the aim of which is to convey to children and young people the world of art, as well as basic concepts and facts from the theory of history or of art on specific examples from the collections of our museums and galleries. It is a project that goes beyond one museum and seeks to raise the profile of the collections of national museums. Whether we succeed in meeting our goals is more of a question for users of our materials, teachers, parents, and children themselves. However, the reactions of our audience are so far helpful and positive, but we also have attentive and demanding followers who may correct us. Most of the reactions so far are positive, which lead us to believe that our project came at the right time and responded to the real needs of practice. Our project is only one of a number of examples of online educational resources created during the pandemic and linked to museums and galleries. As our ongoing research shows, the museum culture has shown its flexibility, creativity, and desire to stay in touch with its visitors. Many activities were created by a large and dedicated commitment of specific educators, for which they deserve really thanks. Museums have shown that they stand in the middle of society and can help. Although our research is currently ongoing and it is too early to draw conclusions, we can already see that new types of educational resources have emerged and that they are rather influenced by current methods of online communication. Here, too, the classic saying, "the medium is the message," applies, meaning that the medium, that is the internet and especially the social networks through which the educational resources we analyze spread, also changed the content itself, which is important. Technology has provided us with an environment and communication channel, thanks to which, for example, galleries could communicate with their audience, and thanks to which teachers could stay in touch with pupils during the pandemic. But this technology also influences content and its stylization and didactic transformation. It will be interesting to further analyze these changes and pay attention to their positive aspects, but also to the risks they may present. In any case, some phenomena are obvious at first glance: speed, brevity, a tendency toward amusement, and sometimes even flashy nature, a certain superficiality, or the adoption of formats known from social networks typically challenges. At the same time, striking features of high-quality educational resources are creativity and playfulness, as well as a tendency to stand in opposition to the above. In the fast and superficial world of networks, resources that are well thought through present challenges that make us slow down and think, they offer more demanding content as well as unusual visual, making the feed full of advertisements and fashion images more interesting. They may offer a creative game using the principles of network communication, humor, or nonsense. We are looking forward to the results of our research. The description and analysis of various original approaches, as well as the ways of didactic transformation of the content of fine arts, will help us identify key trends of the current times. We recognize that our research can provide important feedback to the creators and galleries, but can also be of interest to art teachers. It turns out that galleries and their very important partners who can enrich classical teaching, not only with classical educational programs, but also with a huge range of interesting educational resources. We believe that our proposed monograph will provide a clear report on these resources and will help expand these different types of educational resources of art museums and galleries into pedagogical practice. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you on behalf of our team for your attention. Thank you for invitation. I would like to ask you, if you are a creator or author of some online educational resources of art museums or galleries, please share them with us by sending a link to my email address. Thank you very much for your attention and goodbye.